Well, thanks everybody for holding in. As our host mentioned, I really appreciate everybody participating in the Japan Gold Update. I'm going to take you through an update of what's happened in the last year since I've been here with you, and what an interesting kind of an inflection point that we're at now. So here we go. I do have some forward-looking statements that I will be making through the duration of my presentation. So, as you may know, we're exploring for high-grade epithermal gold deposits in Japan. There's a lot of history about why we were there as the first mover, but suffice to say that we've been fortunate to be, as first mover in Japan, acquiring a portfolio that's approximately 2,500 square kilometers of the best mineral rights in the country, and we are the dominant exploration and development company in Japan. So since I was here a year ago, we've done a number of different things. We've strengthened our management team, and I'll show you that in our next slide. We've streamlined our exploration division. And what I mean by that is that as you start to grow as a company and as we entered into our first joint venture, you end up with lots of people. But we really like to be a special forces team, not an army. And so we look at really right-sizing our team carefully and using the best of the best in our various projects. And so that's allowed us to reduce our overhead by 40% in the last year, which I think is an important number and a significant number. A lot of my focus has been focused on expediting the permitting process. When you're the first mover into a country that hasn't been exploring for gold for 80 years, we had to help provide input and design the permitting process in the country, but there still is a lot of education that goes along with that. So initially when we applied for projects, it might have taken from sort of staking or original application, a couple of years or more before you're actually drilling in the ground. We've been able to reduce that by aligning all the stakeholders to less than a year. And I think 11 months was our last timetable, and we're looking at improving on that as well. So I'm excited about that. We also did something from a financing standpoint, which was a little unconventional, given that we're new in Japan, but we've been taking sort of this systematic approach at evaluating the country by and large. So we didn't have reserves and resources, but we wanted to put dilutive financing into the company in order to advance our 100% owned assets. And so I went to the large royalty providers, Franco-Nevada, Wheaton Precious Metals, Osisko, et cetera, and talked to them about our very unique thesis. And they were delighted to provide or buy a small royalty and provide us with capital to drill our own assets. So we concluded a royalty transaction with Osisko Gold Royalties. They bought a 1.5% royalty on assets that we have in our portfolio outside the Barrick Alliance that I'm going to talk about in a minute. And they gave us $5 million US, and then there's an ability for a follow-on for another $3 million US in 2026. And again, that's very rare that royalty companies would provide that capital at this early stage. We have a strategic alliance with Barrick. It's been in place for 5 years. The first 3 years, Mark Bristow and the Barrick team encouraged us to evaluate all 2,500 square kilometers of the mineral rights we have in the country. We did that with geochemistry and geophysics, which is kind of boring for investors, but it really sets the table for identifying areas that could have the potential to host Tier 1 and Tier 2 ore bodies, and that's Barrick's outlook. So we completed that period, that processing, that evaluation. And then ultimately what we did was we went out and said to Barrick, okay, pick your best projects. And we have 26 projects in our portfolio, and they selected 3 that they felt had the Barrick scale. So we did that, and then finally, we've just started getting the drill bit moving. We do have our own drilling division in Japan, so we're fully operational and able to be an operator on behalf of Barrick or others. And so we've just done minor scout drilling. We've just poked a couple of holes into each of their 3 project areas on time, under budget, and drilling results are expected very shortly on the third one, and probably the most significant one, which is just north of the Hishikari gold mine. We've also rated and ranked our portfolio of properties, because when you have a large portfolio, the risk is that you're going to get lost in the weeds there and you're not going to focus, and we're very focused, so that's what we're doing. And then we also defined our exploration target, because it's so easy to go into a country and want to be all things to all people. But in Japan, our key target is a minimum of 1 million ounces at 7 grams per ton. And for background, 1,000,000 ounces at 7 grams per ton, and this is in low sulfidation epithermal gold deposits. So these are quartz veins where the opportunity exists to directly ship your ore when you extract it from the ground right to a smelter. So you can forego the capex of building a production facility and the time and permitting associated with that. You can directly ship your ore to a smelter because the smelters all require silica, which is quartz, as flux in the smelting process. So it's of value to them, and they'll give you the gold back. So that's why the only gold mine in Japan, the Hishikari gold mine, which is one of the highest grade tier 1 gold mines in the world at a 14 million ounce ore body producing 9 million ounces so far at between 30 and 40 grams per ton, does just that. They send their ore right to their smelter, and they're all in sustaining costs or in the $500 range. So incredibly profitable. So we defined our target. So even 1,000,000 ounces at 7 grams, gives you a 10-year life. But when you've got $500 at all in sustaining cost, it becomes a very profitable area. And then finally, we just 2 days ago announced the first significant drilling on our new on our Barrick. On our project that's outside the Barrick Alliance. This is our first drill program, and again, it's in the same region as the Hishikari gold mine. So quickly to touch on the strengthening our management team. So Jason Leto, our Vice President of Exploration, who's here in the audience with us today, joined us 4 months ago coming from Vale. He was with Vale for 21 years and was active around the world in base metals and precious metals, including active in China, as well as heading up the Voisey's Bay Exploration Group. But his expertise is in near-mine, district-scale evaluation and discovery. And in that role, he's made 6 discoveries, either expanding resources or new discoveries. So we're delighted to have him come in and join us because we have 2 district-scale project areas, and we need that kind of insight. He's supported by 2 people that are, certainly one that's well known to our community, Fraser McCorkadale, our senior technical advisor, was formerly the head of global exploration for Newcrest. He's been in Japan for many, many years. He tried to compete with Barrick to come in and be our partner in the early days. And he really is a champion of the geology in Japan and is very familiar with concealed ore bodies, which a lot of Japan is, where there's been volcanic activity that has put a thin veneer of volcanic ash across the landscape so you can't actually see the veins poking out of the ground, etc. So delighted to have him. And then my mentor in Japan, our director, Takashi Kuriyama, is also very supportive. He was the head of global exploration for Sumitomo Metal Mining. And then prior to that, and that's the owner of the Hishikari gold mine, and prior to that, he was the general manager and chief geologist of the Hishikari gold mine. So he was instrumental in helping us pick up the whole region around the Hishikari mine. We do have a very strong board, which includes our Canadian ambassador, very significant mining entrepreneurs, and one of the very uniquely, Dr. Keiko Hattori, who was the first Japanese woman to get a PhD in economic geology, went on to become an esteemed professor at the University of Ottawa. And she's married, probably most importantly, to Jeffrey Hedenquist, who some of you may know is one of the top geologists in the world and also an expert in Japan. So we're a project generator in Japan, but we're also fully operational, and that's why people like to collaborate with us. I've mentioned to you our target and size. Our search space in Japan is really twofold. Historically, over 500 years, there was a lot of mining in Japan, but very shallow mines that really stopped when they got to the water table. And those mines, there were 6 of them, they sort of averaged 1 million ounces to 2.5 million ounces. So statistically, we think searching around those mines, those legacy mines, we can find concealed vein systems that might be able to be in that same sort of cachet of 1 million ounce plus. But the Hishikari mine, the 14 million ounce ore body, was the first concealed ore body to be found in Japan. So it was under a blanket of volcanic ash and very shallow. It was only down 200 meters, so it sits 200 to 300 meters deep. But it was concealed. And so that really is great inspiration for us to look for these bigger prizes that are just a little bit deeper, but a little bit harder to find. And that's why we need our great technical team. So I'm going to show you a couple of districts coming up and where we're at. So here we are in Japan, and I'm really highlighting 3 areas for you quickly, and I'm going to go through them quite quickly. So in the south, we have the island of Kyushu, and there's 2 districts with a gold oval around them. The most southerly one is the one where Hishikari is located, and that's the one where I'm going to focus on for a few moments. Then there's one in middle Kyushu, and then finally, way up to the north in Hokkaido, you've got the Katami Metallogenic Province, another important district. I'm going to just jump past some historic drill programs, but suffice to say that for Barrick, we've completed the 3 drill programs that I've mentioned to you. We've also advanced some of our own projects and are moving those forward as well. And we have a very active exploration pipeline that, again, Jason Leto and our team are leading, and we're really accelerating the pace of our activities, building our pipeline, and not only doing the drilling, but the preparatory work on our new drilling targets. So we're now in southern Kyushu, and I want you to just look at the map on the left for a moment, if you could. In the middle of the slide, and I don't have a pointer here, but you see the Hishikari mine, and you can see it says 8.6 million ounces. It's about 9 million ounces now that it's produced so far at between 30 and 40 grams per ton. The footprint of the Sumitomo holding is just that little finger that sticks up to the north and just around the mine. So when I went into the area, there was almost nothing else there. There was a couple of little legacy, postage stamps, but the whole district was wide open. To give you a scale, from north to south on that slide is about 40 kilometers, and it's about 15 kilometers east to west. All the polygons that you see on there are our holdings. Now, Barrick evaluated the area, and ultimately, initially they identified the Mazobe project to the south, that's outlined in red, and the purple project, the Bino project in the north, as their 2 priority projects. They initially drilled the Mazobe project in the south with 7 drill holes, just to see how big could this be, and these were kilometer step-outs. 7 holes all hit mineralization, 5 had gold in them, so they looked very promising, and they evidence that we were at the top of an epithermal system. So really we needed to go deeper. But it was a bit confusing because the host rock, the breccia, it carried low-grade gold as well. So Barrick at that time changed their technical team to a team with a different area of expertise, and they decided, maybe that's too complicated, not for us. So ultimately, we have 100% of that project, and Barrick has no back-end rights to it. And so we have just initiated a significant drill program in that particular area. To the north, we've just finished drilling for Barrick, just north of Hishikari, and we have results pending on that project area as well. This is an area, these areas are not only gold rich, but there's also significant antimony in these areas as well. We're going to run short of time, so I'm really going to move quickly forward. We're in middle Kyushu here. We've got 2 outstanding projects here, one north of the major past producer, where we see an extension of that. But what we also see there is that the North Tayo project has significant silica across it. And if you look just over to the east, there is a red box, which is a smelter, one of the major copper smelters in Japan, that's owned by JX Nippon or JX Metals. And they're desperate for silica as flux for their smelter. And so if we have gold-rich ore, we can send it over to them. They give us the gold back, and they keep the silica. So very helpful. The Badjo project to the north, that's a project that's very exciting for us as well because, and I'm just going to jump to this Badjo project, because it had a small historic mine of 420,000 ounces, but most of that came from a 6-meter wide vein that was running over 100 grams per ton, and no one's explored around it yet. So we're going to do that. We're organizing geophysics now, and we should be drilling that in the first of the year. Now I've moved right up to Hokkaido, so I've moved up to northern Japan. This is the gold province here, and there's just really 2 comments that I'm going to make here, and then I'm going to wrap it up. The red area is the area that Barrick is focused on in this particular area. It sits immediately south of the second largest past producing mine in Japan, and the view is that there may be an extension of that mine moving to the south that was exposed by a recent road that was put through that area. So we've put 3 drill holes into that area, and we're advancing that. But where I really want you to focus on is the blue block just below the red that says Akutahara and Kanahana. And that's our second district. So that combined block is 25 kilometers north-south by 20 kilometers east-west. And and whoops, sorry, let me just go back. And this is a blow up of that area. And the remarkable thing is that you see all those little X's. Those are all, there's over 30 historic mines and workings that were all closed by the government when they were active in 1930 or in 1943. So they closed by the government in 1943 and have never reopened. This is an incredible collection of gold mines. And this ranged from, 2 cooks in a coffee pot to 10,000 people at one of the sites. So it was a real range here. What we need is a big partner to come in and work now through advancing or adding to the work that we've done through this area, where we found high-grade gold, we found high-grade silver in scout holes, to systematically go through here and really unlock the next major deposits. So with that, I'm just going to say that we're moving ahead with our district scale land packages. We've got a great portfolio of projects. We've got great in-house technical expertise and execution ability. And Barrick is advancing their 3 projects as well. So thanks very much for joining me today. We've got a great comprehensive presentation on our website at japangold.com. And I'll just pause now for any questions you might have.
No questions? John, thank you very much. Thank you for being on time.
That's my pleasure.
Very good presentation.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thank you.